Everyone thought Amma was harmless. Even her husband laughed when she cried. Her in-laws mocked her pain. But what they didn't know was that Amma had been planning something in silence. Something that would leave them all shocked to the bones.
This is African folktales with Nsinem. Listen to Amma's story.
Amma had what people could describe as gifted hands. Anything she touched turned to gold. Not literally, of course. One time, she started selling baked goods to her classmates, and the next thing, her small business grew into a bakery. She dabbled into selling thrift clothes and ended up with a chain of boutiques. She was born into a modest family, but money seemed to follow Amma everywhere, and so did her boyfriend, Stephen. Stephen had Amma wrapped around his fingers, and it wasn't hard to see why, because he was really handsome and really lazy as well. Nothing he did seemed to work, which was what he always complained to Amma about, but in plain fact, Stephen was just lazy and entitled to Amma's money. They were classmates during their university days, and right from when Amma started making money, she opened a joint account and made Stephen a signatory to the account.
After their university program was done, Amma continued her chain of businesses and Stephen focused on a more profitable business, Amma. He quickly got her pregnant, and before their daughter could walk, Amma was already pregnant with their next child. In just a few years, Amma had 4 beautiful girls for Stephen, but they were yet to tie the knot. Amma would bring it up, and Stephen would assure her they would definitely get married. After all, his family already knew her as his woman, but did they? Apart from Stephen, Amma extended the same love and devotion to his entire family. She sponsored his only brother and 2 sisters in school, and opened a little shop for his mother. One day, Amma told Stephen of a land she was planning on buying, so they could build a house on it and move into their own home and stop paying rent. Stephen liked the idea, and Amma got to work. In a few months, Amma was able to put up a 2-story building, and Amma, Stephen, and her children moved in alongside Stephen's siblings and his mother. He told Amma that they have a lot of spare rooms, and there was no need for her to keep paying rent for his family when they can move in with them.
Then one day, Stephen's brother came to her office and told her some shocking news. Stephen, her man, had gotten another woman pregnant, and the scan had shown the baby to be a boy. He told Amma that he couldn't bring himself to keep this from her any longer. He added that the girl's bride price had already been paid and they were just waiting for the official celebration. Amma couldn't believe her ears. She was literally glued to her seat. Her whole world flashed before her very eyes. Amma felt hot and cold at the same time. The man she had loved, the man she had fed, supported and defended, was building another family behind her back. Her mind drifted to the day her friend Favor had warned her. Stephen is sleeping around, she had said. Amma had chased her out of her office. If you don't have proof, leave, she had snapped. Now, the proof was staring at her. With trembling fingers, Amma opened their joint account on her banking app. Transaction after transaction, huge withdrawals, for over a year. That was when the veil finally fell from her eyes. Her in-laws, their smiles, their greetings, they had all known. Amma was so deep in thought that she had not heard Stephen's brother leave her office. Suddenly, her phone beeped. A message from Favor. Amma opened it, and there he was, Stephen, in a suit and tie, standing beside a young, pregnant woman at a marriage registry. Stephen was legally married. Amma's legs gave way, and in that moment, the truth hit her like thunder. She was no longer a wife in waiting. She was now the side chick. If you're enjoying this video, please click on the like button, share this interesting story to any of your loved ones who would enjoy it. Back to the story. Amma got home that day, but her mind was still very far away. Immediately Stephen came home, Amma confronted him. I'm sure you are thinking he would say, it wasn't me, like Shaggy. Or he would say, is it too late to say I'm sorry, like Justin Bieber? Well, if you thought any of those scenarios, then you are totally wrong. Stephen looked Amma in the face and confirmed that he was now legally married. Amma was in shock. She had found herself hoping that Stephen would say it was a lie. Then he opened his mouth and uttered the most devastating words. Stephen told Amma that he had never promised her marriage, and though he loved her, he also loved his new wife. Amma was so shaken that she sank to the floor. Amma, men are polygamous in nature. Marrying her does not stop me from being your man. She is pregnant with my son. You know my son can't be born out of wedlock. My first son can't be a bastard, Stephen declared. Amma felt a mixture of emotions. She felt shame, humiliation, disappointment. She felt like a fool. Amma got up from the floor and went straight to her mother-in-law's room.
She opened the door and walked right in. Amma found her talking on the phone. Amara stood and waited. Please take care of our baby. Don't stress yourself, oh. If you need anything, just let me know immediately, okay? Stephen's mother said. Amma's mind went wild with thoughts. Was she talking to Stephen's new wife? After Stephen's mother, Patricia, ended the call, she turned to Amma. You really should knock when next you come to my room, the older lady said. I'm sorry, Amma said, and she wiped the tears from her eyes. She recounted what Stephen just told her to Patricia. Mama, is this true? She asked Patricia. Did your son really marry another woman? Patricia asked as fresh tears came to her. Patricia cleared her throat and looked Amma in the face. Is that why you barged into my room? Okay, what do you want me to tell you? My son is an adult and I can't tell an adult what to do. We all thought he was going to finally go and see your people and make your relationship official. But he came with another woman and told me she was pregnant for him. What did you expect me to do? Kill my son or reject my grandchild? Amma, you will always be the mother of his children, and I believe you can still coexist with the other woman in peace. Amma just turned and walked out. She didn't want to hear more of what Patricia had to say. She went back to her room and cried out her eyes. That night, Stephen didn't sleep in the house. The following morning, as Amma and her daughters were having breakfast, Stephen came in with his new wife. Yes, he did. And the new wife came with her luggage. He simply walked past her and their daughters and took the lady to a spare room. Amma felt like she was stuck in a nightmare. She got up and walked into the room and asked Stephen, "What is happening here? Why did you bring her here?" Amma screamed. Stephen turned to Amma. "Please, bring down your voice. She's carrying my baby and I want her close by so that I can ensure she's properly taken care of," Stephen answered her. Amma stood there, staring at the woman who had taken her place in the house she built. Then she turned and walked out. She went to her room and sat on the bed. Then an emotion rose up inside her and engulfed her entire being. Anger. Amma was angry. Months later, everything went smoothly. Too smoothly. The new lady moved in and Stephen moved into her bedroom. Stephen took money from the joint account Amma had financed to take care of his new wife. Amma's maids and workers treated the new lady as the new madam of the house. One day, Amma came home to a newborn baby. Stephen's new wife had welcomed their baby boy. A week later, Amma and her children took a little trip. Amma had taken a little trip to London. Stephen called her on WhatsApp to complain that he had tried to access some funds and their account manager had told them the account was closed. Amma apologized and told Stephen she had cleared the account because of her trip with the girls. Stephen went ballistic. "Why would you take everything? If you know you couldn't afford a trip right now, why didn't you stay back?" Stephen yelled. Amma apologized and told him that it was also a business trip and she would soon be back. She encouraged him to borrow money from his mother or friends and assured him that once she was back, everything would be sorted. Stephen grudgingly agreed. 1 month later, Amma still wasn't back. Stephen called again and asked when she would be back. "Amma, what is happening? I am neck deep in debt. Mommy's shop rent is due. Sylvia and Susan's school fees are due. What is happening? I thought this was just a business trip," Stephen asked, screaming at the top of his voice. Amma pleaded with him to be patient. In the 6th month, Stephen called again, and this time he was desperate. "Amma, A man and his lawyer showed up here, saying the house has been sold and we are given 1 month to move out. Amma, what is really going on? Stephen asked, almost in tears. Amma ended the call and sank back into her soft duvet. She knew that very soon, Stephen was going to understand what was happening to him. The house was in Amma's name. Every document bore her signature alone, so selling it was easy. Amma had taken her time to plan her exit. She had put her businesses in capable hands and they were running smoothly. Wiping their joint account was not out of necessity. That was just to weaken him. Asking him to borrow money from people was something Amma had enjoyed doing.
A year later, Amma had opened a restaurant in London, serving authentic African delicacies. The restaurant was not only a culinary delight, but also radiated a rich African ambience that drew people in from all over.
As for Stephen, the last she heard, he was drowning in debt. His siblings had dropped out of school and their mommy dearest had relocated to the village after her business shut down. His legally married wife had abandoned him, leaving their son behind. Amma found it both intriguing and pitiable how their lives had all fallen apart in such a short time. Did Amma go too far? I want to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below. Never mock the woman who built your life because she knows every brick and she decides when it all comes down. If you enjoyed this story, give it a thumbs up and click on this story on the screen to enjoy more intriguing African tales from me. See you there.